Hi, I'm Shannon O'Flaherty. I'd like to talk to you today about how birth trauma can influence your self-worth and identity. So, say for example, you were abandoned at birth, and abandonment comes in so many different forms. So, like, even though I had abandonment issues, I wasn't actually abandoned at birth, but I wasn't put immediately on my mother's skin, and I was put in an incubator for 2 or 3 days and not held. So that registered as abandonment. But maybe you were abandoned. Maybe you were actually abandoned, left on a doorstep, or given up for adoption, or sent to an orphanage. Or maybe as a young child, you were taken into care. Maybe your parent was a teenager, struggling teenager, and for whatever reason, she couldn't cope with taking you on as a baby because of her own issues in life. And so after bonding with you for a time, then you were sent to care. So if your bonding with your mother has been broken in any way, then that registers as abandonment. So when we have abandonment issues, these can definitely affect our cellular structure and go into us as subconscious beliefs and patterning. And as you all know, these subconscious beliefs and patterning and of how we perceive things when we're babies and young children become self-fulfilling prophecies. So it might have gone in as the belief of I am not worthy of love or attention. And so if you're receiving love and attention in your life, you might not even register it, or you might not receive it because you don't believe that you're worthy of receiving it. Or maybe my needs and feelings are unimportant. If you felt that your mother or father didn't think you were important enough to have around, you might feel that you're not important, or that you're alone and cannot rely on others. Oh, also, if you've lost a twin in utero, that also might uh, send that baby, that unborn baby, a feeling of abandonment because that twin, your sort of co-partner there, has left you also. Um, or not feeling responsible for your own survival because your parents gave you up, and we need our parents to survive. And so that responsibility was taken away from you. What about trusting others is difficult, dangerous, and risky? So maybe you don't feel safe to trust others because they might just turn around and abandon you. So if you're putting that energy out into the world, oftentimes people are thinking, you out there are doing this to me. Why is all of this out there happening to me? But really, if you look within and look at your own energy, it's about what kind of energy imprint, subconsciously, of course, we wouldn't do this on purpose. What kind of energy imprint are you putting out into the world that other people are responding to? This is how we start to take ownership of our own stuff and start to take responsibility for the things that we are attracting to us in our own lives. If you really, really want to heal, that's the first part, taking ownership. Um, you might have the feeling of needing to be perfect to be accepted. So you might have a perfectionism streak going on, which how these things end up manifesting in your life day after day, circumstance after circumstance, new situation after new situation, doesn't all have to be bad. If you take the gift in every situation, like being a perfectionist, okay, it can cause some issues, but it's not always a bad thing. And not relying on others, okay, is also not necessarily a bad thing because it can make you a highly independent, highly functional person. But you need to look below these levels of where these patterns are holding you back. The way in which these patterns are manifesting and enhancing your life and helping you be a better person and more capable, great. Don't change that part. We love that part. But where we get confused sometimes is that we have dual belief patterns when you feel one thing and you also feel the other thing simultaneously. So don't let that interrupt your own process. The stuff that's working, great. The stuff that isn't working and where you keep getting stuck, that's what you want to focus on to change. What about emotional expression leading to rejection? Maybe you feel that maybe you as the baby or young child felt that because you were crying or making too much noise or being good or being bad or whatever it was, that you weren't good enough, so they rejected you. So maybe in your life you're holding yourself back from expressing your truth because you fear deeply that it won't be received. Or maybe you feel that vulnerability is a weakness. In my point of view, vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is a strength because that allows us to be open, to not sweat the small stuff, to not care about what other people think, and to get rid of those skeletons in the closet. Like, we're all humans, we all make mistakes, learn and grow from it, and then move on. And that maybe you feel that relationships are transient and unreliable because in your experience as a young child, maybe they were. And maybe because you had all of these energetic imprints of being abandoned and how that manifested for you, maybe you just kept sending out that energy so that lots of people seemed to abandon you or that you were always alone. So this is a self-fulfilling part because as humans, we don't like to be wrong. So we're going to create opportunities and situations to go, well, see, it's happening again out there to me. But really, that's not what's going on. Or that maybe you feel you have to fend for yourself in order to feel safe. There's a certain level of this, obviously, as we grow into adulthood, but it's how you do these things. And because we have all of these different, I like to call them slices of the pie in life, right? We have our family, we have our community, we have our work, we have our health, we have our lover, our relationship, we have our spirituality and other slices of the pie, depending of what your life is like. These hidden repeating patterns and subconscious beliefs could be niggling their way into each slice of the pie. And basically, if one slice of your pie isn't working, it affects all of the other slices in some way, shape, or form. So that's just a little bit about how birth trauma can affect your self-worth and your identity. And wouldn't it be great to understand why you perceived things the way that you did? This stuff absolutely fascinates me. My new show, Beyond Birth Trauma, is the second and fourth Tuesday of every month on transformationtalkradio.com. And it's at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. UK time. And there we talk about all of this cool stuff. And soon in the end of February, instead of co-hosting with Dr. Pat, it's going to be my own show where I'll be interviewing different guests each week to talk about their wisdom and experience and healing, or their own birth trauma and what came from it and what we can do about it. So if you'd love to book a call with me, I'd love to speak with you, and let's have a little 20-minute free chat and see what comes out of that talk, because having another person's perspective is always a helpful thing. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.